Hey everyone, Matt here again. Today I'm going to tell you all about the realities of boondocking that you're not actually seeing in most of those cool YouTubes where it looks like everyone's having a great time, everything is calm and peaceful, it's beautiful scenery. The reality is, all of those things can be true, but there's also a lot of other things that come along with that maybe aren't going to be right for you. The reality is, boondocking is not for everyone, especially if you're boondocking in an isolated location. But it can be beautiful and peaceful and be just the thing that you need. Before you head out to that first boondocking camping spot, here's some things that you need to be aware of. Alright, so first things first, you need to find a spot to go boondocking. So one thing that we like to do is use an app called iOverlander. And that seems to list a lot of the great boondocking locations across North America. It'll also give you some reviews, sometimes some pictures of the area, and give you some notes on things to keep in mind. So you've made your way out to your boondocking location, and you're ready to get set up. Well, the first thing that you need to do is don't always trust those apps. Sometimes they tell you it's okay to boondock at a location. Look around for signage. Is there anything indicating that you shouldn't be camping overnight? You want to make sure you're following the rules. The last thing you want is a knock on the door in the middle of the night from the sheriff telling you need to move after you're all set up. So let's get into the realities of boondocking. Well, the first thing, of course, if you're boondocking, that means you're not going to have any water. So of course you're going to want to fill up your RV tanks ahead of time. Now, you could either do this before you leave home, or if you have a long commute like us, you may want to look for spots along the way. So sometimes you'll find travel stops that will have water connections. Other times you might decide to stop either at a state park or a private park and pay a couple dollars to be able to fill up your RV tank. Of course, you're going to have to use your water sparingly. So be really thoughtful about how often you're doing dishes, how often you're flushing that toilet, and the most efficient way to wash your hands. Of course, water out here is not unlimited, so you're going to have to be really careful about that. And on the topic about water, what about drinking water? What are you going to do for drinking water? Most of the time, wherever you fill up is not going to have potable water. So you want to make sure that you are bringing either some bottles along, or in our case, we like to bring a Berkey. And that allows us to filter any water that we happen to find. So for us, that's a great tool to be using. So, of course, the other thing that you don't have while you're out here is power. So you're going to have to think a little bit about what are you going to do to power all of those appliances and to charge all of those devices that you typically use. So I'll give you a little bit of a snapshot as to what we use in our rig here. So we have 200 amp hours of lithium batteries in the front, so pretty small battery bank, but we do have some portable solar panels, which I'll show you here. So we pull those out when we're boondocking to collect some energy from the sun, and that typically does a pretty good job of charging those lithium batteries. Now, the lithium batteries are powering things in our rig, like the lights, like the max air vent fan, and some other basic electrical loads. However, we don't have an inverter, so anything that we would typically plug into a regular outlet, we have no means of powering that. So, the other thing that we bring along is a Jackery battery bank. And you could use any kind of battery bank. And what we've done is with our battery bank, we also have 200 watts of solar that we connect to that as well. Another thing to think about when you're boondocking is potentials for extreme weather. Now, most of the time, that's going to be extreme heat. And of course, when you're boondocking, you're likely not going to be able to use your AC. So keep that in mind. It can get really hot, it can get really sticky, and that's not the kind of thing that maybe you're used to seeing in those beautiful videos. What we like to do when we're boondocking is make sure that we have our lithium battery for our RV, which can run the max air vent fan, which can really do a good job of cooling things down. And you might also want to consider bringing some battery powered fans as well, so that you can still have some additional fans running in the RV. Of course, if you're dealing with cold weather, that's kind of a completely different story. We've done that as well. We've camped in minus 20 degrees Celsius. And of course, you want to make sure that your propane tanks are full for that, so you can use the furnace in your rig. The other thing that you're going to want to be thinking about is how are you going to cook your food? In our case, we're used to using an electric induction cooktop that we typically use outside at our table. But when we're boondocking like this, our battery bank really doesn't have enough power to be using that all the time. So we're lucky that we have a propane cook stove in our RV. So if we really need to warm something up, we can use that. And then we also try to plan some of our meals around things that don't necessarily need to be cooked. Things like sandwiches and wraps. This morning, for example, we had some oatmeal for breakfast, and all we had to do was boil some water. Of course, as you're thinking about all of these things, think about your morning coffee as well. How are you going to make that morning coffee? Your coffee machine is not going to work out here. So, in our case, we use a pour-over coffee method, which I'll show you some footage of that here. And that way we can still enjoy our morning coffee. A lot of boondocking locations are quite far from civilization. You could be quite isolated. In this case, we're about 40 minutes from your closest town. There's no gas stations nearby, no grocery stores, so you want to make sure that you're coming fully prepared. Think about those meals ahead of time. Make sure that you come fully prepared with your fuel as well. Earlier we talked about power, but another thing to consider, if you don't have solar panels, if you don't have those lithium batteries, maybe you want to bring a generator along. Keep in mind, if you're bringing a generator, number one, you want to make sure that you're bringing enough fuel. Number two, be respectful of your neighbors. When you're coming to these boondocking locations, people are usually looking for peace and quiet. The last thing they want to hear is a generator running all day and all night. So another thing that you're not going to have out here that you would have at a typical campground is a restroom. So be prepared to use your rig's indoor toilet and indoor shower. You'll want to make sure that your black tank is the right size in order to meet the needs for however long you're boondocking for. In our case, we'll typically just boondock for a few nights at a time, so ours is more than large enough. In some rare boondocking locations, you might actually see some porta potties around, or if you're in the middle of the forest, you may use the wild method. If you know, you know. There is not going to be locations to leave your trash here, and anything that you bring into your boondocking location should be brought out. Be respectful for the next person. Something that's also not typically shown in those beautiful aesthetic YouTube videos is the fact that a lot of these boondocking locations are going to have a lot of bugs. It could be mosquitoes. It could be sandflies. In our case, at this beautiful location, we woke up this morning to a vehicle and a trailer covered in some sort of flies. Now, mind you, they weren't biting, but they did leave quite a mess everywhere. So, of course, keep that in mind. If you're not into wildlife, if you're not into bugs, boondocking might not be the right thing for you. In a lot of cases, because you're isolated, you're not going to have cell phone coverage where you're going, and that means you'll also not have internet access. So, a few things to consider. Either you're just going to be okay not having cell phone signal, being kind of off the grid and cut off so you can relax. Or, of course, this day and age, a lot of people like to bring their Starlink internet along with them. It can be really hard to tell ahead of time whether you're going to have good cell phone signal at the location that you're looking to boondock, but sometimes those apps, like I told you about earlier, can give you some of that information. One final thing that you're going to want to consider is safety. Is the location you're staying at safe? And that can be sometimes hard to tell. There's no real app that's going to tell you whether a place is safe or not, but I would say use your gut feel. If you get to a location and you're getting a sketchy vibe, probably not the best place to stay overnight. I would say get back on the road and keep looking. That being said, most of these boondocking locations, people are here to mind their own business. They're not here to cause trouble, they just want peace and quiet. So I hope that helps you understand some of the realities of boondocking. If you have any questions at all about boondocking, whether it's on the beach, whether it's in a Walmart parking lot, or whether it's out in the bush somewhere, leave a comment below and I'll do my best to get back to you.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It really does help us out. And don't forget to come back tomorrow to see where we go next.